Matthew, just make sure if you talk, get that thing a whole lot closer because it doesn't ever pick you up on transcription. Like it's got to be up on you.
Yeah, listening to meetings, I couldn't hear you very well.
Upon you, like that, like that.
Okay. He's a little. Your father.
Boy, I don't like that.
I
I'm
love
not
when I have
recording
to
yet.
go back and listen to these meetings.
You're going to use this VR record.
All right.
Yes.
All right, you ready?
Good morning. Let's start the October 16th Park and Tree Committee meeting. Will you please rise for Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Welcome.
Time reports are coming around. Please sign off on those.
And
Okay.
if you have any others that you were at, please email me so I can make sure to get those records. I'm trying to get caught up on all of your events. So,
And also look over the meeting minutes. We have 2 months to approve. Once we finish, I'll need a motion and a second on those.
can you please vote separately
Yep.
on each one for the record?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, can I say something?
Do you have edits?
Yeah, I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, but on the, let's see, so that would be the 16th, no, that's us. The minutes is the August 21st. I think Patty is still in charge, but because she sends out the emails.
So that was supposed to, I asked who the point of contact was because you said that she was, you all said that she was in the hospital. So
Right.
I was told
Okay.
her.
So
I
that's
was told
just, that's,
Candace.
again, that's about for August, okay.
Okay.
But she does send out emails because Ashley got one from her the other day. All right.
I get
now-
one from a regular.
I'll reach out to them and
Okay.
find out how they want me to communicate with them.
Other than that,
I received these in my email and I've already read them.
Oh, yeah.
in the
Yeah.
face.
Yes, and I'll make a motion that we,
You gotta remember to stick that inside your mouth.
I make a motion that we pass the August meeting minutes.
Yeah, you weren't here for one of them, that might, that was it.
Yes.
You miss us because we missed you. We missed you. Did you miss us?
So it's not a big deal, but So on the last page of the August minutes where you say, the new era and Democrat public, did you mean Herald?
Oh,
Like, I said,
Okay.
not a big deal. I-
well, it is. I need to correct it.
Okay, sorry.
So the last page, it
Yes,
says,
where it says roundtable discussion. That's just sitting here finding fault. Sorry.
It's okay. That's what we're doing right now. What you're supposed to be doing. You're a good girl.
so when there are corrections, you approve it as corrected or as amended.
Okay.
So Matthew, you'll need to go back and approve it a second time.
So I make a motion to approve the August meeting minutes with the corrections.
I second it.
I have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed, same sign. August meeting minutes are approved.
Ready?
Wasn't something that he, I would have.
Found my park and tree jacket.
did you have it been lost?
It was hanging right where it was supposed to be the
Yeah.
whole time. I wonder if my shirt's inside it. I still haven't found that.
That's how you undress.
Got me in a woman's jacket.
Oh,
Buttons go the wrong way.
Sorry, Matthew.
It's always a good time, yeah, if not flu.
right.
Make a motion to pass the September meeting minutes with corrections, if there are any.
I second it.
For September meeting minutes, I have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed, same sign. September meeting minutes are approved. This time, we'll take a moment for all of the public comments. Thank you very much for your public comments.
There is also nobody online.
But we are important. So
yes, we are.
let's do a beautification committee update. And that concludes our beautification committee update. We'll move on to the Weddell Bridge outreach. That is on me. Lena and I are going to go visit, and I've had multiple points in the last month that I planned on riding my bike out there just to set up a meeting with them, and I've failed to do it. So that will be a priority for
You're
me
gonna
here in
ride
the
your
next
bike
couple
to Mill
weeks.
City?
What's that?
You're gonna ride your bike to Mill City?
Yeah,
Okay.
my motorcycle.
All right.
And even if the weather's not good, I'll just take the car. I just need to stop there. Actually, I just need to remember to come back through there a
Yeah.
couple times because that's what's held me up.
Pretty neat little place. Well, it used to be
Yep.
before it burned.
So, and again, just for the minutes, that's to determine how they funded the repairs on their bridge.
Okay.
So that's what we're working on, figuring out what methods they used and try to adapt best practices from another city.
Okay.
So we'll move on to the Harvest Festival wrap up. And I would just like to start off saying I thought it was outstanding. Every part of it, from the vendors coming in, vendors going out, the pie bake off, the food, the layout. I did not have a single problem. And the only idea that we came up with that we'll definitely need to do if we have 26 pies again is to lay them out numerically as we start. The pie judging actually we were able to get done in time and complete it all. So that worked out really, really well. And I was nervous, but having them, if they would have been sequentially on the table, it would have made it easier for the judges to scorecard when they did their overall visual of all the pies.
Oh, yes.
So I have a question. Do you think, I mean, obviously half of the pie competitors sign up literally like 2 days before. Should we limit it? Because it does end up taking forever. Should we make a limit to it?
A deadline.
Well, there is a deadline usually, but part of the problem is I get these last minute, and usually for everything else, it's the Friday before, and I can make it the Friday before. But I have found in the past, we haven't got enough pie competitors, and then all of a sudden I send out a notice and then we get too many. So it's, it's kind of, there's pros and cons to that. So I just want your thoughts on it, having ran it we have a staff meeting about Harvest Festival tomorrow. And so I just want your thoughts on the pie bake off and just how you think it ran and whether I should limit it, whether I should just make a deadline, no matter whether we have 2 pies or 20 pies.
That's what I think. I mean, other groups do stuff like that. I mean, you have to buy things whatever you need, you have to have a deadline and people will get used to it. Just say, last year people were coming in at the last minute and it was too much for everybody to organize.
I had a
Deadline.
plan if we ran into a problem. So, and maybe this is just what we do next year is 2 sets of judges. And instead of splitting the pies up evenly between them, we have one group that judges the youth pies and the other group that judges the adult pies.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would be a problem no matter how many pies we get.
No, I think that would help divide them up.
Yeah. And I agree with you I'm nervous about not taking them until the end because this is the only year that I've seen we've had a whole bunch of pies. And I'm wondering if it's a fluke, if people were just pie happy, because the one family brought 7
Yeah.
pies.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we had like excessive amounts from some people.
Yeah.
So I think that may be a flyer that,
Well, and each person is limited to 2, but we can limit it 1 pie per person also.
yeah.
So originally, like one year I had one woman submit 5 at the
Mhm.
last minute. And
Yeah.
then we ended up having to rush in the end to try to figure out how to fit them all in. And so I did limit them to 2, but if we want to limit them to 1 per person, we can do that also.
I don't know that limiting anything helps.
I mean, a family, each
Yeah.
person in the family is
Oh,
going
yeah.
to submit one. So
Right.
so that I'm just throwing out some thoughts here for next
Right.
year. So because you guys run it, I just set it up and say, here you go. So
I think it's a lot better of a visual if the table is completely covered in pies.
Mhm.
And if we have to go get another table because there's too many pies, I think that makes it more of a success story.
Okay.
And I think when they take pictures of that, to show how the thing is going, an excessive amount of pies is good.
Yeah.
And I got to taste a peach pie for the first time in my life
I like peach
at
pie.
that meeting. So, and I will just say that was the best peach pie I've ever had.
So, and then another idea that I had, because we do this for the chili competition. So I liked the way you guys set up the pies and had all the judges just come look at them on the table first. I think to start sales earlier, which would mean you would have to have some person, you'd have to figure out how you guys are going to do this. But once they look at it all and you've cut the first piece, then you can start selling.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting until you've gone all the way through the judging to start selling. That's what we started doing with the chili cook-off, is the second the last chili got picked up, they start selling it. And so I think that would help with sales to start earlier
I agree.
to do that. So, but you guys are the ones that run it, and whether that makes it more chaotic or not to split you up to do things, I just wanted your feedback on that.
I was curious, not being a professional pie judge, but a very good amateur. Does it really matter if we just cut the piece of pie out before they look at it the first time? The whole pie? Because they're looking at 90% of the pie. I mean, we're not messing up the rest of the pie. You cut one slice out, they could come by and look at the pie and
the slice
observe
at the same time.
and see the slice has been cut out to see, well, did it all run out into the pan, or is it firm? Is it juicy? How was it? You could see all that at once.
Well, and this isn't a professional go on to a state
Oh, I know.
competition
Yeah.
thing. So I mean, I think that's another way that you can speed up the process if you have 30 pies plus start selling them quicker. So, I mean, once they've looked at the pie itself, you guys can start selling. The tasting part is what takes, the most time. So speeding up that beginning process I'm fine with it. I mean, it's not like they get points in some not like the barbecue cook-off. They don't
Right.
get points to move on to a, countrywide type thing. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
That'd
because
be-
that would allow us to cut, as soon as they look at them,
Mhm.
we can sell pie. The only thing we have to do is not sell all of any one pie, just in case there's a
Right.
tie.
Mhm.
So, which we can control that until we have the judging complete.
Yeah. I
So
think that's a great idea.
that would really help. I think it would help a bunch if we could cut them not right when they show up, start cutting before the competition starts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
and-
we had to keep telling people, not yet,
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah. And and that's one of the things I thought about, because we can advertise it a little bit better, that once the pies are looked at, sales will start. And I think that'll help kind of boost that a little bit. So,
Yeah.
you still, though, the pie contest itself, made $350. The mugs at the park, made $150. And then we had the online, mug sales, the 2 online mug sales for $100. I will have to caution in the future of allowing people to pay for pies through the credit card app, because there is a credit card fee. So about a third of that money went toward the credit card fee.
Right.
So we didn't get the whole $9. And so I caution allowing people to do that. I will do a little bit better job of, we can't afford an ATM. And so I will do a better job at, people are going to have cash
Right.
for the competitions. And so, that's the only way we can get away with, not having to charge credit card fees that
So
go
can
in.
Can you put it in the paper and stuff that it's cash only for most things? I mean, I don't know about some of the vendors. Well, I used my debit card for a coffee, so.
There's a lot of the vendors, but our competitions are cash only. So I can put on
Yeah.
the competition advertising that it's cash only
Right.
for that. So, because some vendors do have the squares
Right.
and credit card machines. So
Mhm.
the whole event is not cash only. So, but I can do that for that, because that's the only downside is that we don't get the whole donation because of the credit card fees.
Right.
So I just wanted to mention that for.
Well, that was
future.
me doing that because so many people, I want pie, but I said, well, no, you weren't there. You were running amok
Mhm.
somewhere else. But so I did that anyway. Sorry about that. I know it
No,
was
that's
only,
okay. I
what,
just,
two
just
people,
future,
maybe
just
that-
future wise, we'll try
High.
to advertise it more and I'll put it on the sign, cash
Cash
only.
only.
So,
And we can have a sign too on our table when they come
Yeah.
up too.
Okay.
It says it on the little jar, but who reads that?
I did realize something after the fact too. I could have done a Venmo to me and just paid cash for the person. But, on a private one-on-one arrangement. But I didn't think of it. But I thought it went extremely well. That
did.
was, and the two kids, the two boys that won, the looks on their faces were priceless.
they're
That
both
was,
cute.
and something else, I started this too late this last year or this year. I got a hold of the culinary teacher at school to see if she could have the kids make pies for it.
Oh,
But they're making the cookies for something.
Halloween, you can buy them.
They were making them for something earlier at Harvest Festival time. There was some cookie sales. I remember seeing it. The kids brought home. But if I could get the culinary to make pies, then
They have lots of pies.
yeah,
I'll make a note of that for next year that
Yeah.
we reach out to them. So,
yep. And if Sweet Home's stuck with making cookies, maybe Lebanon could make pies, or the what's it called? The charter school just outside of town.
Well, that's where Tyson goes. And they put flyers in all the, that the kids got a flyer, plus it was in our newsletter. So, and I did see a couple of charter kids there that entered. So that worked.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Hi.
when you go to Safeway and you go to get your groceries and stuff, how many people pay cash?
Very, very few.
Yeah. How are you gonna keep that? People don't carry cash.
No, they don't.
we'll just have to
So,
advertise it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that, I don't know how much that would change. So I mean, I
Yeah.
pay cash every time, but that's,
Yeah, when
So-
I last year? No, the year before, for the safe party that the school does, I do the flowers, which I'll get again next year. Mass amounts of Venmo I took, that I took and just managed it and put it in. But yeah, people want to use Venmo and Zelle, and I don't have a card reader for them to do that with. I don't think I'm going to buy one just for that.
So is that impossible for the city to get something like that? That you could have a
I'll talk to Cindy
phone or
about it,
something
but
that you could-
it's the fees and different things like that make it kind of cost prohibited. When I looked into the ATM, it's thousands of dollars,
Really?
not only to rent the ATM, but we would have to have someone come down, run it, provide the cash, or we run it and provide the cash, but we don't have that amount of cash to be able to do it. And then creating extra, we have our payment portal, so doing extras on top of that. We do have, I've done it for the run before. We do have card readers. So I need to talk to,
That's a
but
good idea.
that's the other problem is all the fees that get taken out. So that diminishes the amount of donations that go in by using a credit card. So it's a
Right.
double-edged sword. So we can look into it a little bit more, but we will still get charged the credit card fees for that. So,
Can you pay I don't know, whatever you pay in the city up front with a card?
We do have fees on that though.
You do?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's about 30%, about
Really?
a third. Yep.
yeah, so the $9 we took in, we got to
six.
keep about 6. So,
When I had my store, I charged people that extra fee.
Yeah.
And they, you just say, well, you're gonna get charged, a little
Mhm.
extra. And I had a sign up there that said, if you pay this much, if the item's this much, you're still gonna this will be what you're paying.
but when it comes to the competitions, if you look at the history, there's very few people that don't have cash
Yeah.
to do it. And so,
Just average
the
must be-
pro and the con of it, I get it would be nice to have that convenience, but the majority of the people have $3 and are able to pay for it. And I know that makes it inconvenient for others, but it's also just one more thing that we have to add to it, more costs, staff time, that type of thing. I'm pretty sure we would have to have staff running it. And so that's where we're very limited also. So I will bring it up at our meeting and see what the thoughts are, but just keep that in mind. It's
Sure.
just extra cost to
Yeah, I
add
think
that.
we only had like probably 4 or 5 people that
Mhm.
wanted to use a card that didn't have cash.
Yeah.
So, and I will say, I think at the end, we ended up with very little pie left over. Weren't they just 2 pie tins?
We were selling them for $1 a slice at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, at the
Yeah,
very
and
end.
that's fine to do. I actually got to bring one of the boys, they left their pie plates and there was some blueberry pie left, so I had that for
There
after
you go.
dinner. So before I cleaned out their pie plates, so it was pretty good.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad about the mugs.
Mhm.
So
Oh, and just to clarify that, so there have been posts going around. We are not selling the mugs.
yeah,
The mugs, you will receive a mug with a $50 donation or more. So each $50 donation. So if you're sending out, Facebook messages or what, we're not selling them. It's a donation. You donate $50 while supplies last and you will get a mug. So we just need to make sure that we're sending out the correct message.
Yeah.
That they're not for sale. They're for a donation.
yeah,
So
the
or little-
$500 donor doesn't get 10 mugs.
Correct. You get one mug.
Yeah,
I was trying to find the man that gave me $100 bill. I went to get the money out, the change for him. I turned around. He was gone and Laurie he said, keep the change. And they took off.
Yeah, so there are, and I
Yeah.
haven't gone back and counted them all, but I will figure out what number, but they are a limited amount. And so once they're out, they're out. But I just wanted to make sure because there's been some messaging going out saying we're selling them, but we're not selling them.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that our message we have the same message going out for
Yep.
anybody that wants to talk. I mean,
We
they're
had,
great.
we had 34 mugs.
Well, there's another box
Oh, cool.
down here. So, and Ryan up at our front desk, he's got them at his desk so people can come in and get them from him.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah, it's just like the other things they do on TV for kids' cancer. You donate so much, you get a backpack or a shirt. Yeah, so good deal.
So
All
thank
right.
you guys all for your hard work. That
And the
was,
mayor was
turned
gonna
out-
buy one. Did she come get one?
I don't know.
Huh?
She was going to donate and.
Yeah,
They are not for sale. She's going to donate for one
Yeah.
or more.
I don't know. Ryan's taking care of that at the front desk. So, and
She
they'll
told me.
print me a report at some point.
I forgot to come back, Nancy. I said, that's okay.
yeah. So the other thing, the judging for the judges seemed to go very well and they all got along again really well. So,
It was a daunting task looking at all those.
yeah,
So,
yep. I know the one kid that was there was a real pain though.
Yeah, he
But
was.
that would be your son.
Yeah.
well, that's on you.
He actually wanted more pie when he was done tasting.
Ugh.
Okay, anything else for the Harvest Festival?
Before we get off the pies, I'm in favor of definitely splitting up the judging or limiting the number of pies, because after 25 pies, our judges were starting to look like pies.
Yeah.
Except Roman.
Yeah.
And if we could split the judging for the kids and the adults, we could do them at the same time and make it
Yeah.
just more time efficient. So I
Yeah,
think it's a
that's
good
what I was
idea. So,
thinking
yeah.
after the fact. Like if I give the one group a smaller three-person judging group for the kids' pies and a 5-person for the adult, we'd probably go through them pretty easily.
Yeah,
So-
that'll work.
The only other thing I would say is, by the end of the day, the sun was pretty bright in there and having a food handler's license, I'm not sure if all
Well,
that
that's-
heat on those pies you were supposed to be eating. So
You
I just,
can.
That
I
is
put-
one issue with that area. And it's really hard because a lot of the other areas that are open turn into a big mud bog. And
Right.
so it's really hard to find another area. Like I had to move the city and the chamber because of the mud and I had to. So
I like the
I
area.
put you next to the bridge because I thought that would help with the mug and bridge
I
sales,
did.
but you are going to get that sun in the afternoon. So
Yeah.
we'll look at it again next year and see if I can.
Maybe if we could just, even if you
Tilted.
added one more easy up, so we were more in the shade.
Well, I
just
think
for that part.
your point of moving up the pie sales will help us
Yeah,
not
that
have
will.
pies so late in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing too is the judges have a show time at 11 and then judging starts at noon. I was
Do it
just
at 11:30.
Yeah, I mean 11:30 or when tell them they arrive at 11 and judging will start soon after. Don't give them a
Okay.
start by, because if I can count all 5 of them are there, it's like, well, there's no reason we can't start because all the pies have to be there by 10.
Okay.
So, and if we had from 10 to 11 to cut a slice out, pre-position them all on numbered plates. That was the other thing. I don't know if it, well, we're going to capture it because I'm going to say it. We numbered all of the plates that went out to the people, to the judges. So if they got off, they could always just look and see what number they're eating.
That worked out good.
Yeah. So we didn't have that as a,
And remind me next year, well, I'll make myself a note. You don't need to buy plates. I have a ton. So
Okay.
I'll make sure to get you a stack of plates ahead
Yeah.
of time. So
yeah, that was just something I thought of at the last minute. So I ran and it really affected our financials getting those at Walmart.
but I order a bunch every
Yeah.
year. So, and they're in
Yeah.
the supplies. I just did my inventory and put everything
Yep.
away. So there's plenty.
Nope. No biggie.
That's why we don't have shirts. We have plates.
Yeah.
Well, we have a special events fund and then we have general funds. So 2 different funds.
Good one, Matthew.
All right. Well, again, thank you everybody for the festival. It went well. And
That
we'll
was
move
great.
on to the Parks System Master Plan, which I understand
You weren't
was
here.
was approved. Yeah, I
So
couldn't be here.
October 8th, it was approved by city council. They did the first and second readings. And so October 22nd, they will do the third reading and then sign the ordinance. So that one is pretty much done. So thank you all for your work and we thank the consultants. And I'm glad to have one of these plans done. And the Master Parks Plan I'm very happy to have the Master Parks Plan done because in order to write grants, having that plan in our previous Master Parks Plan did not identify more of the community need. They didn't do as much of the community need, and it also wasn't added into as an amendment to the comprehensive plan. This one will be. So when it comes to funding in the future, this plan will be better suited to help that. So as the person who writes the parks grants, I am very grateful for all the work that was done and all the work that was put in it to identify it. So
And you guys were wonderful.
I'd also like to thank the council for that because
Yeah.
I believe that was a unanimous vote to
It
approve.
was.
it was, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. You
We knew
said
that.
positive things about it. It was great.
Yeah.
No, you said how good it was to work with all of us and with with the city and all the workers. You gave kudos to everybody.
Well, but it's
I
not
heard
one,
you.
it's not one person like sometimes we get, so.
In fact, I think it was renamed the Dave Trask Master Parks Plan. So
So I did have a question. So what was the gentleman's name that they came together? I know that's a
Colin.
company, huh?
Colin and Elizabeth,
Yes.
our consultant.
So when we all went out to the parking lot, I said, thank you and everything. And I said, so now what? He says, well, hopefully in the future, they'll be asked to come back and help design something. And one park, he said he was really interested. It was Quarry Park.
So that is a process. So we do have to do RFPs,
Yeah.
request for proposals on that. And so we can't just pick
Right.
and choose.
I
So,
understand.
which is, Sankey Park, that's what we had to do for that. So,
Right.
but that's always something that, when we do the request for proposal, it goes out. So hopefully they will bid on that and we'll be able to move forward. They were great to work with.
They
We've
were.
been working with a lot of consultants lately and they were great to work with. I will tell you, I was just informed by our previous and current city attorney.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, that's why Blair is not here. He is
Right.
currently now our city attorney.
Awesome.
Yes, he has moved on. Robert is
So-
retired and Blair is now city
So
attorney.
proud of him.
Oh.
So I was informed that Hobart Natural Area is actually not Hobart Natural Area. It is the Hobart, Wildlife,
Refuge.
where did I go? Sorry, I just went too far. Hobart Wildlife Habitat. So I had to go in and have the consultants change all that. So as we reference it in the future, because all of our documents that people put together say
Yeah.
Hobart Natural Area, but the deed actually says Hobart Wildlife Habitat. Not a
Very
big
cool.
deal, but any of our documents,
Mm.
official documents have to state it that way. So just letting you all know, it's not a big deal, but I
Yeah.
had to ask our consultants to go back and change that. So,
Sure.
but yes, and I guess I should have announced why Blair is not here. So
Yeah.
he is,
I saw that.
as of the
but
10th, he is our city attorney.
So does that mean in like another month, they're not gonna have anybody working in the city? We're just gonna,
No.
everybody's gonna move to a new job and.
No, I have,
Yeah.
I have taken over what's called KED. So
What's called what?
our KED department, which is, he was the KED director, but I'm not, I am the planning and building manager. So I am now in charge of the planning, building and our KED engineer. So.
You've come a long ways from being on the Parks Board before. Huh? Congratulations to you too. That's great.
So,
Yeah, I still think it
Angela.
might be a little crazy.
if,
You will.
does changing the Hobart wildlife habitat from a habitat to a park change anything that the city is able to do? Does it reclassify it at all or anything? Or
No, there is in the deed, there is an agreement in the deed of what the park has to stay as. So when it was donated to the city, I can't tell you word for it, but it has to stay a natural area. It can't be sold and developed. It has to, that was like the first assignment I ever had when I came to work for the city, was to research that. But because of the location in it and just the natural area that it is, it has to stay that way. It has to be
Okay.
public use, like a public park use. So it doesn't change anything. It's just what we can and can't develop in it.
all right. So we won't be developing a playground in the.
No.
No, I mean, there is a plan. A plan was put together, which eventually someday it would be great to do, to put boardwalks in it because it does get wet.
Yeah.
But there is a plan actually for raised boardwalks and just different things. The southern portion of it that's up against the hill is drier than the northern portion of it. So, and I think this plan was put together, I think it was before 2014. I can't remember exactly when it's put together, but it's a good plan. I mean, eventually somebody needs, if we go about it, it'll need to be relooked at, and there's a trail system map in there, and there's a lot of stuff put together.
Wasn't it also for the endangered plants that are in there? A lot of stuff has to be done.
So they are no longer listed. However, they are still protected. And if you go and look at the areas where Lomation is located in Oregon, we are one of the few that has a large population of Lomation. So we want to make sure that although it has been delisted, that we still continue to protect it because we don't want it to go back on the list.
I don't
You
even know what
protect
that
it.
looks like.
It's a little tiny yellow flower that looks like
Really?
a weed. Mhm.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So tell me if I'm out of order if I say this, but at that meeting, when council approved it, Gorley, she brought up the thing about, so remember at one of our meetings when they, Public Works asked about logging up the hill?
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
came to the park?
Yep.
So and then Gorley brought up the fact, so does that mean we have to have the city limits on the other side of the hill? So I'm a little confused. Does the park go, because I live right next to the park, I live on foothills. So the hill goes this way. Does it stop at the top or go all the way over?
Are you talking about Hobart?
Yes.
So part of Hobart, it cuts right down the middle. The city property is the northern portion of it. County property is the southern portion of it. So if we want to do any trail work or anything on the southern portion of
Are
it,
you talking over the hill?
no, the hill is privately owned. So it's private timber. So, and county, I'll have to look it up, but
I can show you the property map
Send me a
lines after the
picture, yeah.
meeting.
yeah.
I saw
Yes.
when with the plan, but I couldn't quite figure that out.
So
When,
both sides of it it was deeded, both sides of it. It's just who regulates what we do on it. So
Okay.
it was still all deeded to the city, but part of it is still considered county property in the county. So it's city owns it, but it's in the county as far as regulations. It makes it fun.
so why did, I mean, this is going back, why did we have to approve for them to log the other side?
I don't remember us ever talking about logging the other side, so that
Did
must
we
you
did.
guys-
We
Yeah,
did in the meeting
We
with
did.
Dominic about where it was gonna be logged at, who was logging it, what was gonna be left.
I think it was still private timber. Again, I'll
I
have
don't know
to
why
look
we-
at the map.
that was
So-
a couple
I
of
thought
months
it was
ago.
part of our.
Let me
park.
look.
It
Yeah, I did
could
too.
have been for access. They may have had to cut an access road
No, they
through.
didn't. No, because they came in from private property.
I'm looking at it
Dial.
right now.
Yeah, I'm bringing that
Dial.
up as well.
So
I do
just-
remember talking about it
Yeah,
in
we do.
detail.
We did. So I just, when Mrs. Gorley brought that up, I thought, So that's
So
why I
you
thought. the
can't- I
park
mean,
went all
this
the way
is-
across.
This right here. So this is Hobart. This is where the county line is. This is the Timber Hill right here. So they could have been logging within this piece of it right there.
Oh,
So show
I
me
bet that's what it
show-
was,
Show me where my street is, Foothills.
way over to the left.
Right there.
Okay.
That's Foothills right
Okay.
there. So this part is still city and there are trees in there, but the hill kind of starts right up in here and this is the privately owned. So it starts more that way. So, and it does have to be anything that's over a certain amount of timber that comes out has to be worked with, the state. There's just different ways that it has to go about it. So, and only certain types of trees can go out and for certain reasons, because it is still a natural resource zone. And so there's also regulations at the natural resource zone.
I think we also might have talked about it in the fact that Greg said that people were going to see it
Mhm.
and it would bring up questions. It may not have been that it was part of the park, but are we going to get kind of like, because we had that problem at that same time with South Hills Trail,
Oh,
where
yeah.
some things were removed and
Yeah.
so we were dealing with public opinion of what was going on versus fact.
Correct.
So
Yeah. And that's a lot of it is just making sure the public is aware, because sometimes it's not like above South Hills Trail, that's privately owned.
Yeah.
And they logged that and people assumed it was, citizens assumed it was the city. And so,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of educating people ahead of time. If
Yep.
we know, if it's private property, there, we may or may not know ahead of time. So, but if it's our property or near our property, then, we'll figure out a way to communicate it, but that doesn't mean that everybody's going to get that communication. So,
There it is. Let's see.
Yep.
Right.
So that is the city's property. This one is private timber.
but the line right in the middle, the black line right in the middle,
Right through there.
that's the boundary line.
That's city limits.
So anything south of that is county. We still own it, but it's county.
So where's Ames Creek at? The street? The 18th that goes into Ames Creek.
way to the left,
Yeah, way over here somewhere.
Way over there.
farther.
No.
Yeah, because that's the middle school. You
Yeah.
got to,
No.
it's past.
Yeah, it's even further.
Ames Creek
Yeah.
turns into, you go 18th and then it turns into.
You go south,
Not
you
even
go south,
18th
Adam.
yet. That's the middle school.
Ames Creek is down there.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. Far away.
Okay.
So there's Ames Creek where the cursor is.
Hmm.
There's Hobart.
Yeah.
And where's Foothills again?
Right there.
No,
Where that
go
purple
back
dot
down.
is.
Go down,
Okay.
go down, Adam. Foothills is the second house, second
yeah.
road above.
Yeah,
Right
Right
there.
there.
there I am. Okay. Interesting. Well, that's a big park.
Yep.
And
Not
that is
park.
that is the park.
But
So, I mean, we're getting off
Habitat.
topic here a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Um,
But just when Mrs.
yeah.
Garley brought that up, I was kind of confused about the city.
Yeah,
limits.
so the part that we own, the part that's in the county, but the county regulates the part in the county. We have a couple properties that are like that. That makes it fun.
Yeah.
So, but it's just, and right now they're technically vacant properties. They're just natural resource areas. So that's one of the biggest natural resource areas. So that is going to be one though, that since we already brought it up and we're off topic, that,
Thank you, Nancy.
Lena mentioned has a lot of ash in it, so that
Yeah.
one, that
Oh,
could
yeah.
be highly affected by that,
Bug.
by the beetle.
Ash.
So that's something that they will be keeping an eye on, and
Yep.
there is a potential that if it does get infected, that ash trees will be coming out of there. So that's just something that everybody's gonna have to keep an eye on, and it'll have to be, monitored for the
Yeah.
future.
When she came to my house and looked at a tree, she pointed down there and she pointed out the different trees that are ash trees.
Yeah, so that is a park that could be highly affected by that beetle, so.
So while we're on the park system master plan, the previous master plan had Sankey Park Phase 1, 2, and 3. On the Phase 3 of that Sankey Park, are we still moving forward with the trails Because quite a bit of that was still funded. So is that still moving forward?
Yes.
I just haven't heard anything recently.
I
but
actually meant to put that on here.
I
So.
missed a meeting, I think, or something.
No, and I meant to put that on here. So yes, we are at, and I think we talked about it last, we are at 30% design review.
Okay.
I received plans recently. Blair and I met with the engineers to look at, I think it was 4 different plans, look at costs, for the paving, just the elevation changes and how
Mhm.
quickly, we gave them feedback. They recently sent me the 30% review, so I will be reviewing that, getting comments back to them. By December, they hope to have the 90%, which we'll bring to you guys to review.
Okay.
So, but
Sounds
we
good.
are in the process of that. The engineers are, so far, they are doing a great job with it.
And if I remember correctly, that basically falls within everything except for the community center bandstand, right?
Yes, but they,
All the rest of the parts was approved.
correct. And what they will be doing is they will be reserving a spot. So to make sure that for the future that there is a location for that, so the trails won't interrupt
Yeah.
where that reserved spot for
Yeah.
a future bandstand may go.
Okay.
So.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit with our priorities. Okay. Anything else for the master plan? Nope. Okay, let's move on to Park and Tree Committee priorities for 2025. And I marked down some things that I thought of last night when I was looking at what we were going to cover.
So,
Yeah.
Chair, can I
Oh, you can.
interrupt real quick? So part of this is we don't need to come up with them today.
Yeah.
So December in your charter, it says in December, that's when that is supposed to be discussed. And so I wanted to make sure that we were starting that discussion ahead of
Yep.
time so that by our December meeting, we can kind of outline that and to use the newly adopted master parks plan as your guide when
Yep.
you're thinking of that, because those are the priorities that were identified for the whole city.
Right.
And so using that as a guide to move forward to what the Park and Tree Committee would like to recommend as what you would like to see. So I just want to throw that out there.
Sure. So when you're thinking about it, some things to think about is the new park at 42nd Street that's on a temporary hold, but it has been cleared and we'll need to look at getting that in. And I think we're fairly well on with that. The Weddell Bridge, how we get that completed. The City Hall Park and Dog Park right next door here, because we have the bridge in and it looks nice. And again, I'm surprised how many people I see using it, stopped and take pictures there. So I've noticed it quite a few times. So, and then the other thing was, well, I booked down phase 3, which they'll be working on next year, but I put down the bandstand itself. The one thing I want to talk about is I spent some extra time when I wasn't going to Mill City to talk about the bridge, looking at other towns and what they have for these, I'll call it an entertainment area. And I've been surprised how many places have nothing more than a slab. So I went to Independence to a huge concert there.
Yeah, they have a
And
great, they have a great
They have a
area.
great venue, a bigger draw though, I think, because it's right there next to Salem. So much bigger than we would have here. But all they have is a concrete slab with electricity. I couldn't get up close enough to see if they had water attached to it. I don't think water is a big deal to plumb in at the same time. At the same time, I was at Lapine and they have in one spot, they have a similar setup and they have some poles that are on the outside of the slab and they just attach those, I'll call them sails overhead. And they just put those up when they want to do something. So I talked to the park guy, happened to be there. So I talked to him about it. And he said, yeah, we just put these up when we need them and leave them up between events, quite a bit of the time and then take them back down. So we don't have a structure that we have to maintain. And so I think that's something we should think about because I heard a lot of complaints from people about, well, we don't need this, fantastic thing and this and that. So if you had a slab, you have a place for people to go. Additionally, currently, we have offerings for donations for the rock. Knife River's offered to donate for the part for the concrete, and I don't remember the guy's name. It's not Giesler, Breezy. Offered a very good discount to do the concrete work. So I don't know, I guess you can do concrete in the winter, but I don't know. I'm assuming that what we would need to do is to take a look at it to get the funding requests and donations to those people in January, like we've screwed up every year and not done. So at some point, I think, this is just my opinion, I think that we need to go in front of the city council and request them to move forward with that slab, if that's what we want to do, and get it up without a big structure that costs $60,000-$70,000.
Well, it also is, it is a funding issue. And right now, the grant money that we wrote, because we didn't have the match, I had already talked to OPRD. If we didn't have the match by October, then we were scaling back on that grant
Right.
and just putting it toward the trail.
Yeah.
And so we still have to have funding for that, and we still need to have some engineering for that bandstand.
Yeah.
Just pouring a slab we're not just pouring a slab, because there has to be electrical brought to it. And that's something, all the permitting that has to go with that. So, I think we can sit down and we can maybe have a side conversation. There is also, some other contacts that I have, that may be able to help us as well. And so we need to just sit down and get a list of all those contacts so we can see how to put it together. I think it's great that we have people that want to help donate and do all that, but we need to make sure that we do this. We're not putting the cart before the horse, because we already have a project going on right above that. And so we don't want that to affect the engineering that's going to be going up the hill at the same time.
Right.
So we can talk about that. We can get together and kind of figure out all those contacts, and I can see how that can work ahead. So just our staff right now is very overwhelmed.
Right.
And so we're trying to space these things out just a little bit so that we can get caught up and get the projects done that we're currently working on.
Right.
So,
But I do agree with Wally, though. I mean, we really do need to get on it, because I don't want it to be another year. And like he said, where he went to look, even Lebanon has a slab with just little things around it. That can't be that hard to do. Like I said, if we have to have an engineer, I understand that. And I don't know, Trask, is it something we have to ask city council about?
I just want to say that I think that if we wanted the city council to take city funds and direct them to do that.
So it has to go through the admin and finance committee first, because that's who determines the budget. And then it goes from admin, finance to city council, from my understanding.
Right. But we could ask the city council to initiate that, correct?
It goes through admin and finance first. So let me talk to Cecily about the actual state, but I think it has to go to admin and finance before it goes to city council, the steps that it goes to. So
right.
I'm not 100% positive, but recently I asked her about something like that, and that's the steps it goes to.
Right.
So
I still think we could go make a recommendation for the city council to take a look at it, to request them to look at it.
Okay. Let's schedule a meeting outside of this one, and we'll talk about how to move forward with that.
Mr. Chair, as you well know, we worked our tail off for a little while, and I think we lost that because we goofed around and didn't try to get. You can't believe that would take more than a few hours. And Breezy said that he would do all the stuff around it. He would put the concrete in there, do all that stuff, and it was around $10,000 or less.
Yeah.
With that. And they were excited about doing it, at least Knife River was. The guy said, yeah, we would like to do this. And we fell
all over the bridge. And I'm thinking, what the heck, why do we let that go so far? But I will talk to where the parks money is, because I'm going to go see our guy next week and ask him how much money we have in that parks thing that has nothing to do with the stuff on the south side of Sankey. Now, there's going to be some costs there too, but we're talking less than $10,000.
Mhm.
And the gravel is going to be donated to us. And so it was a pretty good deal. So
Yeah.
I will talk to Kelsey or to the chief, and we'll see if we can work something out there. And you're exactly right. If we're going to do it, we need to do it as soon as we can next year.
Yeah.
I'd like to have it done yesterday, but that's not the way it's going to work. So
I
but
just
I'll-
know from talking to you in previous years, we've screwed up by working towards these things by not doing them in January when people are developing what
Right.
they're gonna donate for the year.
Yeah.
And like you said, I know we missed out on 2024, so, but we'll get together and talk about it and see what
Just
the
keep
process
in
is.
mind, we're right now, I'm getting some costs from the engineers to find out specifically how much just the trail system's going to cost.
Yeah,
Because we still may be short on matches for
Right.
Sankey Park Phase 3. So we can't forget that still may need some extra funding.
sure.
We still may not be at that match number, but I have to adjust the amount that we requested.
Right.
And so, but I'm waiting for some numbers back from them
Yeah,
to find out how much more we still may need to raise to just finish that project. And
Right.
that one, we've already got the grant for. We have to finish it by December of 2025. So that's on the top of the priority list is
Yeah.
getting that done. So
Right.
I don't want that to fall on the wayside, with
Yeah.
the bridge and the bandstand, because that is the project that is currently going.
Yep.
So,
makes sense.
I will talk to Augie about having a meeting so we can have those people for the the money and see if we can get that okayed.
Yeah.
And then we'll take that to where the next step, and I'm a chairman on that, and we will make sure that if they don't want to do it, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But I can't see why they wouldn't want to do it. So I'll get that, and I'll try to get that set up for next week. We can have another one of those meetings.
Oh.
It only takes like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and I just don't see why that they would not want to do that. And then get it to the council and see if they want to do it, and maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Some people on the council don't want to spend money. I'll tell you that right now. And so,
Yep,
yeah.
no
okay,
problem.
That's
And
enough.
if you have me in any meetings for next week,
Huh?
I disappear in a few hours and won't be back until next Friday, so I won't be around.
Oh, we have a council meeting next, I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah,
So, yeah, anyway,
Okay.
all right. We should be able to work something out there.
sounds good. So I gave you those Park and Tree Committee priorities for next year. Those are the ones that I had thought of before. I don't know if you have anything else
I do.
because
We need new
oh,
shirts.
I was trying to figure out, oh, yeah.
Adam's going,
I don't even have a shirt or a hat.
so you're in a different department, okay? I mean, I've even offered to buy our shirts. All we need is the logo thing put on it or whatever.
Okay. Any others for priorities? I do want to make sure that, so we started, and I'm just gonna say it, I'm gonna brag. We did one heck of a job removing ivy in Sankey Park this last year.
Yes, we have.
And a lot of that's thanks to Deb's poking and prodding and never letting up. And I just like to say, I watched that woman go absolutely nuts out there crawling up banks. And I really had my phone already prepared for the 911 dial when she took a header back down a couple of those, but she didn't. So we cleared a lot of ivy, and
Yes, we have.
I think that's made a huge difference back in that area. When I look back in there, it's dying off everywhere.
Yeah. If we ever get the weather to be able to spray in there, we might
Yeah.
make some real headway.
Yep. Other that we need to talk about, and unfortunately Lena's not here, but Evergreen Park, the 3 trees that we put in,
Mm-hmm.
one of them is still green.
Mm.
And the other two looked pretty bad to me. I'm not a tree person, but I could identify a tree that looks dead.
She did mention at the last two meetings that in July they got scorched really
Yeah.
bad, and she was keeping an eye on them. The last two meetings, she said she was going to continue to monitor them if they need to be replaced. So our Arbor Day event is
Mhm.
for like a new tree, but she said any of the trees we've planted that we need to replace should be done in December and January.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look. I'll have her go through and kind of take another look
Yeah.
between now and the November meeting, and then we can try to decide. Again, trees aren't cheap either, so we'll have
Yeah.
to kind of figure out where that's going to come out of. But
Right.
and I agree with her, just from my past job
Yeah.
life. Winter is the best time.
Oh,
because
yeah.
then they will get rained in and
Yep.
they will get all that moisture, because our Arbor Day being in April, it's kind of late and it's really
Yeah.
hard for their roots to establish. So,
Yep. I
but
agree.
she did say she was going to, because we have a few, so
Okay.
she's going to keep monitoring them for a little while.
Yep. And at the next meeting, I'd like to define our Arbor Day park and date so we can start thinking about it and get ahead of the curve on it, because it creeps up on us every year. So November, we can identify where and what park. And I'll just say it'd be really cool if we were replanting some trees in 42nd Street, new park next to the new playground
Mhm.
that was all brought in, and have a park celebration that included, I know, I'm dreaming, but
If we can find the money for the infrastructure, then the park
Yeah.
can go in. So
yeah,
infrastructure and bathrooms are where we're at
Yep.
a standstill. So
yeah,
we get there. Believe me, all of us want to get it done.
Oh, I
too,
know.
So
yep.
Osage, 42nd Osage.
Yeah, I don't know I just know it's over there. Kind of.
we have a
behind-
building. We have a
behind
flex
the
building over there.
Rustic Bucket.
Yeah,
You go down that street
Yep.
and around.
I know where it's at. I drive down there all the time
Yeah, I do too.
and look around now that I know it's down there. Okay. Any others for new business? Going once, going twice. It is 9:32. This concludes our October 16th Park and Tree Committee meeting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Angela?
Yes.
Noticing